everybody, this is Joel in
Paul
from movingtomexi.com. Yeah! Bienvenidos a nuestro canal.
That was a
Bienvenidos.
jazzy intro.
Jazzy Joel.
Jazzy Joel.
Jazzy Joel's been out before.
Yeah.
Which video was that? Comment below. Which video did you first meet Jazzy Joel? I've done it at least once. One time.
No idea.
You have to go through the treasure trove.
Dave Sinclair probably knows.
Anyways, bienvenidos a nuestro canal, bienvenidos a Casa Victoria, aquí en Bucerías, Mexico, where it is Friday, and we are going to basically show you how to make the best mojitos in the world.
Best mojito in the world, and a mojito is not like a
And
Mexican
it's not Mexican,
beverage, right?
it's Cuban. But anyways, I saw it on a Instagram video or a YouTube video of a guy that does a lot of travel, and he went to Cuba and he was at the bar, and the bartender made this mojito. And the process was very long, and it kind of all made sense in the end as to why he did it that way. But I will find the link to that video just to give proper credit, and we will put it in the description below. So first, the best mojito in the world, what you need is really good mint. And have a smell of that.
Does not smell like cat pee, because Jillian said it did. Where did you get that mint?
It's like where the litter box is.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
so that's why
It's kind of a litter box slash, mint growing thing.
Okay.
No, it's okay. But I'm going to join you with this, so
Okay.
I'm not scared.
Okay.
And I did wash it 3 times. So first you stuff the glass with mint. Now this isn't a proper mojito glass, but this is what I have. Normally a mojito glass is going to be a little bit more narrow, so that when you put these type of big ice cubes in, it's kind of like 1, 2, 3, 4, right? But this is the glass I have. So we're going to make double mojitos.
Okay.
All right. The next is you need 2 teaspoons of sugar, but I do just 2 level ones. We don't want to make it too sweet. You could put a little extra if you like. But here's the process. A lot of people say you muddle the mint, like meaning you get a muddler and you start muddling. But no, in this case, we just stir for 5 minutes.
The sugar and the mint together.
Yeah, we're going to do that for 5 minutes. And what's happening is the sugar is kind of incorporating into the mint, but it's also helping release the oils from the mint, and then the oils from the mint are going onto the sugar. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And we're not crushing the mint. We're just going to stir it for 5 minutes. Yeah. We have 5 minutes.
So Joel, we should talk about why you moved to Mexico.
Why I moved to Mexico?
Yeah.
Good question, Paul. It's interesting to meet all the different people lately who have made the move to Mexico and finding out their reasons for coming. But ours was I don't know necessarily simple, but it was just one of those dreams all along that we were going to do something with the kids for 1 year, right? Before they grew up and before life kept getting in the way, right? Because we were very busy. We had a pretty successful construction and development company. We just finished up a pretty big project that kind of kicked us in the ass because that was during the great financial crisis.
Okay.
But we actually got through it with our skin intact. So a lot of people went bankrupt. We lost a lot of sleep, and we worked a lot to get this project done and basically not go bankrupt, during the worst financial crisis in my life.
Yeah.
So we knew it was like time, right? Like, because it's always like, you always set the standards like, oh, when I'm 55, or oh, when the kids are in university, or, when I've accomplished this, or when I've accomplished that, I'm going to do this, right? But we're like, if we keep saying that, we're just never going to do it.
Yeah.
So the idea was we were going to go away somewhere for a year, and we looked at Spain, France, and Italy. And then we actually decided on France. And then as we started going through the process was pretty intense to get the visa at France. And it looked like the max we were going to be able to get is like 6 months, and to extend it was a lot more work. And then we started looking in the time difference, because we still had business going on in Calgary. We're going to be living in Europe. It's a 8+ hour time difference.
Right.
And an 8 to 9 hour flight. So as we're chatting about it over beers here in Mexico during our Christmas vacation, we're like...
So you were here.
We were
talking about living in France. Yeah.
And then Jillian's like, why don't we just move here for a year?
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? That's a pretty darn good idea.
Yeah.
So the moment we got back to Canada, we just made that decision. and then we started preparing ourselves to actually do it, which
Right.
is the second hardest part. You know, the first hardest part is actually making that decision,
Yeah.
but then the second hardest part is taking that decision and actually not talking yourself out of it.
Sure.
Right? So yeah, that's kind of how that decision was made. No, I would say the process of getting our visas was pretty easy back then because there wasn't a lot of people doing it.
Uh-huh.
So the Mexican consulate wasn't, you know, too busy. The hang-ups was just wrapping our head around leaving what we knew,
Uh-huh.
right? Leaving what we knew for so long.
Yeah.
The kids went to certain places to play soccer. The kids went to a certain school.
Yeah.
You know, we had certain friends. We had certain restaurants. We had a place that we lived. You know, we had a certain kind of car.
And you had a standard of lifestyle too.
We had a
that you were
standard of lifestyle,
you were
like-
basically gonna let go.
Call it North America, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, the nice car, the 2 cars, the big house, all that stuff that is really at the end of the day
Yeah.
not that important.
Yeah.
But at the time, you're so used to it that it became a hang-up. But then we just said, you know what? We got to just sell everything. So let's just sell everything. Sell our house, sell all of our cars.
So you were going for a year, but then you decided we're gonna sell everything.
We don't want anything left behind
Okay.
other than our work. We had no choice there.
Yeah.
You know, we still had a business, but I hired a general manager. So now we're putting in some lime. And I say 1.5 limes for this, okay?
Okay.
So I did, just take a smaller one. I did 1, and then we're going to do the half. And then we're going to take a little bit of soda water, and this is the way, he already pre-mixed the water with the lime juice. I just didn't do that.
Okay.
So it's kind of equal parts. So I'm kind of guessing. I'm probably putting a little bit more soda water, but that's okay. It's not going to kill us. And then another 5 minutes.
Wow, this is a process.
Yeah.
10 minutes just with the mixing.
Yeah, well, it's like you know, what we really want to do is just dissolve the sugar.
Okay.
So we're almost done.
Okay.
So I hired a manager to take over my business,
Uh-huh.
a GM, a young guy, you know, kind of aspiring real estate developer, graduated university. You know, he could work at a reasonable price that I could afford,
Uh-huh.
so that I could leave and he could take over for me, but I could still manage him from afar.
Okay.
So I think once we sold our house, and once we sold our stuff, and then once I had a manager in place, there was way less hang-ups.
Sure.
Right? We could make the trip, and we really wanted to come here for the first year and not have a lot of stuff, baggage, and issues back home, right? So
Yeah.
it was important for us to get rid of that before we actually moved here, and it made our first year here so incredible.
Yeah.
Like, it truly was not a vacation, but you know, we were doing yoga every day. I'm riding my bike every day.
Mm-hmm.
Yoga, bikes, like exploring, like chilling with the kids on the beach. Like, it was
A sabbatical.
a sabbatical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, because you guys you sold everything. Was there some thought in the back of your mind that maybe you were not coming back?
Not at first, Paul. Like, I really thought Calgary was still gonna be a big part of our life.
Yeah.
You know, even for the first few years, we would come back every year. I'm gonna have to free pour here. We would come back every year, and I would identify some land and build a project, kind of like what I'm doing here now.
Yeah.
And then I would put my manager on it, and my partner Shimon, who you met, Shimon.
Yeah.
He would be doing all the site management. I think that looks about good for you, hey Paul?
Yeah, it looks
we don't want to get
like
you
plenty.
too hammered.
Yeah.
So then I'm just gonna give it a nice little stir, and then once some of this ice melts, I'm gonna put a little more ice in for you here, and then we're just gonna top it up with a little more sparkling water. And well, before I keep talking, I'm just gonna get you to try this and
All
tell me
right.
what you think.
Sure. That is very delicious.
It's a very damn good
It's
mojito,
refreshing.
Yeah, I really thought Calgary was still going to be our primary place of business.
Uh-huh.
And then maybe we'd be half time here, half time there.
Yeah.
But as time progressed, and now it's pretty well done.
Yeah.
Right? So we're looking at how do we just completely exit from Canada
Yeah.
and for the most part, and then make Mexico our full-time focus.
Right.
Which from a business standpoint, we're pretty well there.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not doing any more projects in Canada ever in my life. I can pretty well guarantee that.
Yeah.
That's a guarantee.
Yeah.
Put that in the bank. It just doesn't make any sense. I mean, I guess you can never say never. Who knows what I'm doing when I'm 70, 80 years old.
Sure.
Like, helping my grandkids. But generally speaking, as a business, no.
What were some of the challenges once you got here?
You know, we ended up living in our house. So we own Casita Adelaide, which we need to do it behind the Mexican door there. That was
Okay.
our very first house.
Yeah.
So we got to live there for a year because our friends ended up buying it back from us. Because we owned it half with some friends, and we said, okay, well, we're moving to Mexico. We're kind of all outgrowing this house, so we either got to sell it or one of us is going to buy the other person out.
Sure.
Because it was just overflowing with family and friends, and it no longer suited the purpose for which we bought it.
Okay.
So they decided to buy us out, and as part of the deal, we stayed there for the first year. So it was nice. We got to come to Mexico and stay in our original home, and I'll send you some photos of Casita Adelaide. And
Yeah.
it was part of the beauty of our first year too, because that home had such great memories for us over the years.
Uh-huh.
Named after our daughter as well, but just all the awesome time that we spent here together as a family, that made that first year really good.
Uh-huh.
Plus, we knew the home, right? So it wasn't foreign to us when we got here. It
Sure.
was just very comfortable to just move in.
Yeah.
So then we had a year to find a new home. So I would say, that was a challenge because I had a very limited budget at the time. Because we still had stuff in Calgary, I could only liquidate so much. I had about $100,000,
Mm-hmm.
and to try to find even something back then for 100, was pretty remote.
Yeah.
So I was trying to find something with vendor financing where someone would finance me part of the purchase price. So we did. We found, which was Casita or Casa Africa,
Okay.
which is now
Las Vueltas.
Las Vueltas.
Yeah.
Okay, so we had this lady who we bought the home from her, and she liked us, and so I put, I think, around $100,000 or so down. She financed a couple $100,000. I paid them interest every year, but then every year, a couple years later, when I was supposed to, the mortgage was up for renewal.
Mm-hmm.
They were probably more interested in getting paid out than
Okay.
holding on to it.
Yeah.
But all my stuff in Calgary was still nowhere, like it just was still in the toilet. So I'm like, okay, well, I can sell the house and get you paid out. And they're like, don't worry about it. Like, we'll just renew it. And then it kind of got to the point where things were not going to change in Calgary. So I came up to them and said, look, I can put some money into the house right now. I can give you a certain amount of cash as well. So pay you some of your mortgage down. And then let me renovate it, sell it, and then pay you out.
Yeah.
So they let me do that. And then I renovated it, sold it to the Gonzalez's at first, paid them out. And then the rest is kind of history. So I'd say maybe that was like a really only hang up was getting that permanent house.
Yeah.
And then kind of having that mortgage that we didn't want to live here with a mortgage, right? So how can I pay off my mortgage and eventually just not have that kind of debt? Because I didn't want to sell Casa Victoria. We had assets here, but I didn't want to really sell this one because it's such a good investment.
Yeah.
So I'd say that was the biggest thing that was kind of hanging over us, and then we just went back into business.
Yeah.
And it became developers again. And,
Yeah.
And then, now we've kind of rolled that money into other projects across the highway.
Right.
We've got enough money now to build our own house without any kind of debt.
Yeah.
So it was because we were able to step our way, from home to home.
Any other like little challenges like when you're in like personal life and stuff like that, like as far as the family goes and
I think the kids struggled a bit with school because I'm kind of all talking about me. That's a good question. So, like, they did first 2 years of school in Mexico, and it was a bilingual school, but the only classes in English were English
Okay.
and a math class.
Yeah.
But math, just because math is like numbers, right? It's
Right.
not really. The teacher really taught it in Spanish, but it was their only English course was English.
Okay.
So they struggled for a couple years. They were
And they already knew English.
They already knew English. They were falling behind, so we ended up putting them in an online school that was domiciled in Canada,
Okay.
in Alberta actually.
Yeah.
And so they finished their education that way. So that was stressful.
Was there a particular moment when you decided, you know what? I think we're just gonna stay here.
COVID.
But that was years later, right?
Well, that was like the nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
Like
Because there was always like an idea that you could end up going back to
Yeah,
Canada,
and if we
right?
needed to, like
Yeah.
things didn't quite work out
Yeah.
here.
Well, cheers.
Cheers.
Salud. Drink.
You can't taste the rum.
No. It's gonna sneak
It
up
tastes
on
like-
us probably.
I made one the other day and it definitely got me in the Friday kind of mood.
You,
I made it last Friday.
do you think you're ever gonna leave? Like you're gonna go somewhere else? Like you might, maybe within Mexico, or you're gonna, you know.
You know, there was a time where when we went to Belgium, and I'm like, you know, maybe this could be like the next thing we still have like Mexico as our winter base, but like if I was looking for a summer base, you know, we really enjoyed the Belgium countryside.
Yeah.
The food, the cycling, the weather, were just it's just really amazing country. So a couple people noticed I trimmed the protest beard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I figured Trudeau wasn't going to go anytime soon, so I was just tired of it. It was just not growing
You held out for a while though.
but it just kept not wanting to grow down. It almost like it stopped and just kind of get bushier.
Curling up. It
Kept-
came out and then went up.
It just kind of curled up. So then I just took it down like down here and I just like chopped it off.
Yeah.
But now it's kind of I don't know. I feel like it's got a little nice shape. Comment below, yes or no. All right, Paul. Well, thanks for joining me for a mojito on this wonderful Friday,
Thanks for sharing your story.
which is now Sábado. I hope you guys enjoyed my story. If you have any more questions, because it was a pretty lengthy video that we didn't hit, comment below, and we'll touch base on that in a future video.
Muy bien.
And I think on that note, Feliz Sábado, everybody. Happy Saturday. Thanks again for joining us. Nos vemos. Hasta luego and adiós desde Bucerías, Nayarit, México. Salud.